So as I go along in today's video, we're going to learn about some really crucial and helpful tips on before and then after in terms of graphic design work. You can test your own knowledge and how you would approach each and every design and see how it fares to my decision making in my graphic design workflow. And we're even going to be making a trip to Canva because I found a pretty hideous logo that I thought would be fun to quickly change and redesign. But first up, we have this sale poster that's fashion orientated and it's something I found on Freepik. So I want you to take a look at this poster design and all of the knowledge that you've soaked up and absorbed from my channel or other channels on the internet or just anywhere in terms of educational graphic design content. Think about what is wrong with this poster. When we're making changes to a design, we want to first identify the problems that need to be resolved. And let's be honest, with this design here, there are quite a few problems going on. So the first thing that I identified as a big problem in this design was clutter. There are too many things going on, which makes it too convoluted, too complicated, and too busy. When somebody views a design, especially a sale poster, that viewer needs to access the information as quickly and as easily as possible. And there are so many different ways that this design is cluttered and too busy. For the first step here, I have removed some of the background imagery, as you can see, and also the dots, because I thought they were just insignificant and they were just creating confusion. But there are still a lot of things that I would change about this poster, and I'm going to do that as well, but I want you to think, what would you do and what kind of steps would you take to refine and improve this design? So I've made quite a few changes on this third step and it's still not finished, but as you can see, I've put that fashion sale title actually reading in a horizontal format instead of going vertically, which I think is too convoluted, you know. Also, I've really cleaned up the poster in general and it's really refined down to a simplistic form. I've put most of the key information in the top left and I put the main focal point of the woman in the bottom right. Again, this creates a kind of division and some balance, and also you can think in terms of proximity. Now the information that suggests the 30% discount, I've put this in a circle so it stands out and is really easily recognizable. But yeah, the main problem in this design, well actually there were two main problems in my opinion. One of them was things were just way too busy and too hectic. And the second was that the information was displayed in a very poor manner. We have dates and we have, you know, websites and text just all over the place, and it's just crazy, and this actually was how it was downloaded. The only thing I had to change was that on Freepik, it didn't come with the female model. It did show a model, but the AI file doesn't come with one, so I added one myself. But there are still a few minor changes I would make to this design, which we're going to check out now. And so finally, here we have the design. On the left is the before and on the right is the after. I have chosen a kind of muted red, which I do think works really well for a kind of sale design. But the kind of bluey green did work, but I do think this is a good choice. Let me know what you think about my design on the right compared to the one on the left. And let's move on to the next design. Again, we have another Freepik edition, and this is a kind of a save the date card that will be giving out to people attending or potentially attending a wedding. So do take a look at this design and consider what would you do to change up this design and make it more effective. Like I said before, look at the design and try and identify the key problems that are going on here. And that's a good point actually. When you're considering your very own design work, be critical and look at it and think, what is the problem? What is not effective here? How is the information not being communicated efficiently? When you start doing this on your very own graphic designs, that is when you will level up in your career. Now the first change I made was the font confusion on save the date. It was laid out in a very strange way, you know, lines to the right edge, and also using 3 lines and also different fonts. So I've gone ahead and enclosed that with 2 lines, one above and one below, and I've used one standard single serif font. At the very top I have the occasion, which is the wedding of, and then the name of the bride and the groom. And I've added a little motif of 3 dots, which I think works well. And then for the date itself, instead of using this kind of complex layout they had before, I've gone ahead and just put the date in simplistic terms. And yes, as you can see on the right hand side on the original design, the Freepik AI file did come with a typo. As you can see in the bottom, it says 123 Yout instead of your place. And so to make it more based around a relationship and a wedding, I chose the address of 123 Love Street, Queens, New York. But yeah, as you can see, things just look a lot more together and refined in my design on the left. And so for the third edition in today's video, I was looking around Canva, which is a free resource where you can edit and make designs to a certain extent using their built-in templates. And I noticed that Canva actually have a logo design section, and so I checked it out. And then I stumbled across this quote unquote logo design. Yeah, it is a free template, it is a free logo, so it's not going to be outstanding, but I thought it'd be quite fun just to make some changes. I know before anybody jumps down my throat, I didn't go through the design process because that would take many weeks, or at least many days. I'd have to create a brief, then I would have to make initial keyword concept ideas, refine those ideas, and so on. You guys know the process, you know how it goes. So the first thing I did was take that word steeple, which refers to a kind of a church or a building spire at the very top. And I thought how I could incorporate that into a very brandable, simple icon. And so I came up with this arrow, or shall I say, a more of a steeple refinement. And it could be used in an enclosed circle, or it could just be used by itself here. But we should all realize the main issue of the previous logo was that typography. The typography is not only pretty ugly beforehand, but it doesn't scream brandability. And if you have that kind of calligraphy style lettering with the fashion forward below, together it just doesn't work very well. It kind of comes across as confusing because the calligraphy style writing is really informal and it's kind of personal. And then you have the really serious uppercase fashion forward below. And not to mention there is nothing really iconic about it. And so I went for a very straightforward sans serif logo type option. And I do think that the design on the right will be a lot more recognizable than that on the left. As you can see on the right now, you can imagine how this would be very brandable and very iconic, say in a magazine or anywhere. And in terms of logo design, this is what you need to consider. You need to consider how brandable is it, how iconic is it, and is it going to be memorable? But also it's important to know the use and the application of your logo. Where is it going to be used? How is it going to be perceived and seen, and so forth. And then for the fourth design today, we have a kind of a design for someone who works in a company. Now this one is going to be quite subtle because there isn't a lot of things I would change to this design, but I would suggest there are two key areas that I think need to be addressed and changed or potentially changed. So looking at this design, what two areas would you consider addressing and paying some attention to? So the first thing I did was to remove a pet peeve of mine, and that is a drop shadow. Yes, drop shadows are relevant and useful in some situations, but for me personally, a lot of the time they're just not needed. A flat design is a lot more easygoing on the eyes, and it does work better in most situations. So that's the first thing I did. I completely removed the drop shadow from the design altogether. Secondly, if you notice on the left-hand design in the bottom left corner, things are a bit too spread apart and they do take up too much room, so I thought they could be refined down more so. And that is exactly what I did. I kind of crunched the typography together a tiny bit, and I ensured that it was still legible, but also that it now gave more room to the rest of the design. I also made the QR code a bit smaller, and I made sure it was still going to be functional even though it's a tiny bit smaller. Now everything that you've seen in today's video is not set in stone, but this is how you should approach a design or even your own work when correcting things or refining them. You need to look at things with a critical eye and see where's the problem, why is it the problem, and how you can resolve that problem. I posted something on my community tab last week saying how I've been burnt out and just a bit low recently. And I really appreciate all of the great feedback and the well wishes and just the kind response I got from that. I wasn't fishing for sympathy because, let's face it, all of us at some point in life have very low points, and especially in 2020 and the start of this year as well. But to see all of the love and the kindness out there, it's really heartwarming, and I really want to say thank you guys for just being there. But yeah, if you want to see more content like today's video, just click the video on the screen. And until next time guys, design your future today. Peace.